Exposed, how a poor maid's heartwarming act saved her billionaire boss from her husband's dark secret. Maria wiped away the dust from the marble countertop of David's opulent kitchen, her heart racing as she listened to hushed voices drifting from the study. Outside, children played on the manicured lawns of their affluent neighborhood, but within these walls, something felt amiss. The scent of lemon cleaner filled the air, masking the brewing storm in her heart. Just a few moments ago, she was relishing the thought of cooking dinner with her children. Now, everything seemed to be unraveling. "He's a fraud." David's voice boomed, shaking Maria from her thoughts. "I believed in him," lines of frustration etched across his face, and Maria's stomach twisted. Who could David possibly be speaking of? The idea of someone betraying his trust clawed at her insides. She couldn't help but feel a sense of dread creeping into her mind, a feeling she couldn't shake off. Her hands trembled as she continued cleaning, desperately wanting to hear more. Then she heard it. Jake. Her husband's name. "I can't let him tarnish my reputation for a quick buck. Not when I've worked so hard to build this company." David's voice cracked. The vulnerability hidden behind his stoic exterior sent chills down Maria's spine. Love swept over her like a warm wave, mingling with the cold grip of betrayal. Jake, her Jake, caught in something she could barely comprehend. He had struggled ever since coming back from the war, but was this what it had come to? She couldn't fathom how a man she married for his honor could have sunk so low. Torn between the man who had become her lifeline in a world filled with struggle and the love for her children, who deserved a stable home, Maria felt suffocated by the weight of her reality. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Her pulse quickened as she stood there, knowing the devastation that could unfold. She pictured her children's faces, bright yet fiercely innocent. They believed the world was just, that hard work paid off, and that love triumphed over adversity. How would she explain Jake's betrayal? Could she take that away from them? The struggle raged inside her, love battling with fear and confusion. Tears brimmed in her eyes as she faced the ultimate question, loyalty or integrity? When she finally confronted Jake, the air between them felt electric. "You have to tell me the truth," she said through clenched teeth. The truth, a word layered with the weight of all their shared dreams. As their eyes locked, the world outside faded away. It was just them, caught in an adrenaline-fueled moment of truth and grief, a moment that would irrevocably alter the course of their family. The silent pull of their past beckoned her, and she realized she stood on the edge of everything she ever believed in. Would they rise from this turbulence, or would love crumble under the very secrets it held? Maria's heart raced as she stood there, waiting. The room felt heavy with uncertainty, silence stretching on like a taut wire about to snap. She had dreamed of this moment so many times, a moment where they could lay everything bare, confront their fears together. But this felt different. There was too much at stake. Jake's eyes mirrored her turmoil, reflecting confusion and anger, but beneath it all, a hint of guilt. "Maria, he began, but the words hung in the air, unformed and inadequate. They both knew what she needed to hear, yet he hesitated. Would he admit to everything? Did he understand the weight of his actions? Taking a step closer, she reached out, her fingers trembling as they brushed against his arm. "You need to be honest with me," she urged, desperation creeping into her voice. "I'm fighting for our family here. You have to fight too." The plea poured out of her, raw and unfiltered. He looked away, and a flood of pain surged through her chest. It felt like a punch. When had they become strangers? When had trust begun to erode like the wood on their old porch, weathered and cracked? You don't understand, he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. I didn't want this, I thought I could fix it. Fix what? She pressed, pushing the fear aside. What have you done, Jake? The air grew heavy, and he took a deep breath as if bracing himself for a wave of regret. After I got back I wasn't the same. I needed something to hold on to, and maybe I made some bad choices. Bad choices? Maria echoed, her heart sinking. Jake, what do you mean? Are you involved in something illegal? The truth hung over them, palpable and suffocating. A moment passed, where the world around them faded entirely. The laughter of children outside, the soft rustle of trees in the evening breeze, it all fell silent. All that remained were their racing hearts and unspoken fears. I did some things I'm not proud of, he finally admitted, his voice breaking. I thought I could take the risk, keep the family going, but David found out. Her breath caught in her throat. The pieces started falling into place, panic bubbling beneath her surface. David was the last person she wanted involved in Jake's deceit. Suddenly, her fear shifted from her husband's betrayal to the potential fallout that could ensue. What would David do with this information? There's so much at stake, she said, her voice trembling. The kids are life, you can't let this ruin us. I'm trying, Maria. I swear. I don't know how to fix it, how to make it right. Silent tears streamed down her face, a mixture of anger and sorrow. You should have thought about that before it came to this. As the gravity of their situation settled around them, she felt a flicker of determination. They had to confront David together, figure this out as a team. But could she really face the man who had once been her ally? David, who had treated her like family, now had enough reason to turn hostile. Please, Jake begged, stepping closer. We can make it through this. Just trust me. And there it was again, that glimmer of hope. But deep inside, Maria wondered if that hope was misplaced. Their family was on the line, and every moment spent in hesitation could cost them everything. Trust is earned, not given, she replied softly, pulling away. You need to earn it back, starting now. As she turned her back to him, a flurry of thoughts raced through her mind. Could she still love a man caught in a web of lies? Could they salvage their family? With a deep breath, she headed toward the study where David was waiting. Her heart pounded with every step. What kind of confrontation awaited her? And would they all walk away unscathed, or would this end in heartbreak? She paused at the door, glancing back at Jake, who remained rooted where she left him. The weight of their future lay ahead, heavy yet uncharted. But as the door creaked open, one question echoed in her mind: would the truth break them apart, or could it unite them all again in the wake of destruction? The study was dimly lit, shadows cast long by the setting sun filtering in through the window. David sat behind his polished oak desk, twirling a pen between his fingers. His brow furrowed as he lifted his gaze to meet hers, surprise evident in his expression. Maria swallowed hard, the lump in her throat making it nearly impossible to speak. Maria, he started, but she cut him off, determined to reclaim control over the conversation. David, I need to talk to you about Jake, she said, her voice steady despite the flutter in her chest. There was a strength in her words that she didn't fully feel but clung to like a lifeline. His demeanor shifted, worry etching deeper lines into his forehead as he leaned forward slightly. Is he okay? I heard about the confrontation. I wanted to reach out. He's not okay, Maria interjected, shaking her head. And neither am I. He's been involved in something dangerous. What do you mean? David's posture tensed, the casual air evaporating almost instantly. His eyes widened, betraying the calm facade he attempted to maintain. David, he didn't want you to find out. But he's been keeping secrets. I found out that he's done things that put our family in jeopardy. Each word felt heavy on her tongue, like stones tumbling from a great height. She watched as realization dawned in David's eyes. Wait, his voice dropped to a whisper, disbelief flickering across his face. His problems this isn't just money troubles, is it? Maria shook her head slowly, a tear slipping down her cheek despite her efforts to remain composed. No. It's worse. I'm scared of what might happen next. David's expression shifted again, somber and focused. And you think I can help? I need you to know the truth, so you understand what's really at stake. Jake has hurt people. If word gets out. She trailed off, the implications hanging in the air between them. The silence stretched as David processed her words. Slowly, he leaned back in his chair, his thoughts swirling. After what felt like ages, he finally said, "You should have come to me sooner. We wouldn't have been able to fix this." She interrupted, frustration spilling out. "You can't fix everything with a meeting or a handshake. This isn't just business. It's my family." David's eyes softened, understanding the weight she carried. "Maria, I can't promise miracles, but I'm willing to do what it takes to support you." His sincerity cracked through her cloud of uncertainty, a part of her yearning for that connection though another part remained skeptical. "Jake needs to be here," she insisted, her heart still aching with betrayal. "He has to own up to this. I can't do it alone." They shared a moment, both acutely aware of what Donald's involvement could mean. Maria felt a surge of emotions swirling inside her chest, vulnerability battling with fierce determination. But how do we confront him without everything spiraling out of control? "We need to approach this carefully," David replied, a thoughtful look crossing his face. "If we can encourage him to be accountable without further damage, maybe there's a chance for all of you." "Is there really?" she challenged, doubt creeping back in. "Or are we just delaying the inevitable?" "Let me handle it," he said, a hint of authority creeping into his tone. "I'll get Jake here, and we can talk about the options. Together." But Maria hesitated, torn between hope and the dread of what the coming confrontation might unravel. Would their discussion lead to clarity, or would it rupture everything beyond repair? "Okay," she whispered, accepting his offer but feeling the weight on her shoulders tighten. In that moment, they both knew the truth was like a ticking bomb, and the next step could change everything. As they shared a fleeting look of agreement, a new tension formed, a blend of fear and anticipation. Maria took a deep breath, her mind racing with thoughts of what was to come. The door swung open again, and Jake stepped inside, his face a mask of dread and determination. "I'm here," he said, voice trembling. "We need to talk." And at that moment, Maria wondered, would this be their reckoning, or the beginning of an even darker chapter? As Jake stood in the doorway, the tension thickened like fog rolling in. He looked older somehow, the weight of his burdens etched deeper into his features. His gaze flickered between Maria and David, recognition swirling in the pit of his stomach. "Why are you both here?" he asked, attempting to mask the tremor in his voice. Maria could see it, though the fracture in his armor. He was a young man cornered by shadows of his own making. "Jake," Maria began, the concoction of concern and frustration welling up inside her. "We need to talk about what's happening, about the choices you've made." He recoiled slightly, almost as if her words struck him physically. "I know what you're going to say. But you don't understand." "Try me," David interjected, his voice calm but firm, grounding the moment. "Explain what you've gotten involved in." Jake hesitated, the fatigue in his eyes belying the fight he still had left. "I can't. It's more complicated than you think." "Complicated?" Maria echoed, her heart pounding in disbelief. "You're in over your head, Jake. Your actions have consequences, and it's hurting the people who care about you." "I didn't want to drag you into this," Jake shot back, desperation creeping into his tone. "I thought I could handle it." "Handle what?" David's voice rose ever so slightly, urgency threading through his words. "What exactly are we dealing with?" With a shaky breath, Jake stepped forward, the fear of vulnerability battling with a deeper instinct to protect what little was left of his family. People have gotten hurt because of me. And now they're looking for payment in more than just money. The words hung heavy in the air, and for a moment, Maria couldn't breathe. She imagined the faces of those who might be affected. The ripple effect of her son's choices now spread out before her like a dark horizon. "Jake, you need to take responsibility for this," David pressed gently, weighing the gravity of the situation. "Let us help you. But you have to be honest." "I am trying to be honest." Jake's frustration erupted. "But if I tell you everything, it could put us all in danger." Maria felt her heart race. "What does that mean? What danger?" "They know I'm connected to you," Jake admitted, struggling to hold back tears of fear and shame. "If I expose them, they won't just take vengeance on me, they'll come for you too." Each word felt like a blade twisting in Maria's gut. The desire to protect her family sparked an instinctive response. "Then we face them together. I won't let you take this on alone. Not now, not ever." "But that could make things worse," Jake shouted, the weight of his fear spilling over. "There's a better way," David interjected, his voice a steadying force. "We need to gather information before making any decisions. I can reach out to some contacts." Maria nodded. "We need to involve the right people to ensure our safety." Silence enveloped the room, thick and profound. Maria searched Jake's eyes, seeking a flicker of hope. She saw the turmoil mingled with a desperate type of bravery, a boy who was still within the man who stood before her. "Can we trust anyone?" Jake asked, his voice cracking slightly. "Trust is a luxury," David replied, his expression hardening. "But we don't have a choice right now. You need to come clean to us if we're going to keep this circle tight." The room pulsed with the weight of uncertainty. Maria felt the emotional tug-of-war within her, hope battling despair. Would they emerge from this stronger, or would it pull them further apart? As she contemplated the depths of what lay ahead, a sharp knock on the door startled them all. The sound reverberated, growing in intensity, echoing the conflict brewing within their hearts. "What now?" Jake breathed, his eyes wide with panic. Maria exchanged a look with David, who steeled himself, readying for whatever storm awaited them on the other side of that door. "Please," she whispered under her breath, "let it be a way out." But as the door opened, all doubts vanished, replaced by a new wave of dread. An unfamiliar figure stepped in, eyes cold and calculating. "Looking for someone?" the stranger asked, a smirk plastered across his face that sent an icy chill through the room. Maria's heart sank as the realization settled in. They were no longer alone in their fight, and the stakes were higher than ever. What this person wanted was the final piece of a twisted puzzle she never wanted to be part of. Would they be able to unite against a new threat, or had they just stumbled deeper into their own darkness? For a heartbeat, the air crackled with tension, each second stretching into eternity. Maria stood frozen, her mind racing to process the figure now looming over them. Jake's fists clenched at his sides, while David positioned himself protectively in front of Maria. The stranger's smirk deepened, eyes flicking between them like a predator assessing its prey. "You can drop the act," he said, voice smooth as silk but laced with menace. "I know Jake's been dabbling in things he shouldn't. You two can make this easier, or we can do this the hard way." Maria felt the cold wash of fear, almost tangible in the air. "Who are you?" she demanded, her voice steadier than she felt. The man leaned casually against the doorframe, an unsettling confidence radiating from him. "Names don't matter when you've just walked into something bigger than you can imagine. What matters is how much you're willing to lose." Jake's face paled, raw panic flashing in his eyes. "You need to leave. This has nothing to do with you." The stranger laughed, and the sound twisted Maria's insides. "Oh, but it does, kid. You see, the world you've walked into isn't just black and white. There's a whole lot of gray, and you're standing right in the middle." Maria felt the urge to shield her son, the maternal instincts raging as fiercely as her fear. "He's just a kid," she asserted, her voice breaking slightly. "Whatever you think you want, you have no right to threaten us." His eyes bore into hers, an unblinking intensity that made her skin crawl. "No right? You were the first to worry about consequences. Let's just say, I'm here to help you understand exactly what those consequences are. What do you want?" David's voice cut through the tension, strong and steady. "If this is about money, you can take whatever you want and leave us in peace." "Ah, but that's where you're wrong, my friend." The stranger stepped closer, a wolf closing in on its prey. "It's not about money. It's about loyalty. And Jake's got people who want their pound of flesh, not cash." "Loyalty?" Jake echoed, disbelief spilling over his frustration. "I didn't owe anyone anything, I was trying to protect. The man interrupted, eyes narrowing. "You think you can protect them while you dig deeper into a hole?" The room felt suffocating. Maria's heart raced, her mind scrambling for a way out. "We want no part of this. Whatever deals you think Jake made, we're not involved." His smirk faltered for just a moment, but it quickly returned with a wicked glint. "You already are. And the moment you decided to help him, you stepped into my territory. There are consequences for that." "What do you mean?" Jake asked, finally finding his voice amidst the rising dread. "You'll find out soon enough," the man said, glancing towards the door as if weary of the encounter. "But just know this. People like me won't just walk away empty-handed. I'll be back. And next time, I might not come alone." With that chilling promise, he swiveled on his heel, stepping back through the doorway, leaving the trio in stunned silence. As the door clicked shut, Maria felt the weight of impending doom settle heavily on her chest. She turned to Jake, searching his face for some flicker of hope. "Jake, what have you gotten yourself into?" "I thought I could handle it," he murmured, shoulders slumping. David stepped forward, placing a firm hand on Jake's shoulder. "Whatever it is, we face it together. We have to find out who he was working for and how deep this really goes." Maria nodded, filled with a mix of fierce determination and dread. They needed answers, fast. But as she glanced back at the closed door, dread washed over her. What had they just invited into their lives? What if they come back? Jake whispered, a tremor in his voice. "We prepare," David replied, steely resolve sharpening his words. "We come up with a plan. We won't let fear control us." As they stood there, surrounded by the darkness of uncertainty, Maria caught a glimpse of the treacherous path ahead. But could they really prepare for the storm brewing on the horizon, or was it already too late? The questions hung in the air, pulling Maria deeper into the shadows of their reality. And hope felt like a distant memory. Maria's heart raced as the silence settled heavily among them. The man's words echoed in her mind, a haunting refrain that stirred a potent mix of fear and resolve. She pushed back the wave of dread and focused on Jake's face, his expression shadowed by confusion and guilt. "Mom, I thought it wouldn't get this far," he stammered, running a hand through his hair in frustration. "I didn't mean to drag you into this." Maria stepped closer, her voice firm. "You didn't drag us into anything, Jake. We're a family, and we face the problems together. But we need to be smart about it. We can't just wait for this guy to show up again." David nodded, his jaw set tight. "Let us think through our options. We need information. The more we know, the better we can protect ourselves." "Information," Jake repeated, his voice small. "What do we even know?" "He didn't exactly leave a business card." "They had to come from somewhere," David replied. "We start digging. We can ask around, see if anyone knows who he is or if they've run into his kind before. But," he paused, looking at Maria, "we also need to be careful. This isn't a game. A chill ran down Maria's spine at the thought of what lay ahead. The warning from the stranger haunted her. They had already traversed into dangerous waters, and she feared it was merely the beginning. "Let us split up," she suggested, her voice steady. "I can look into the local contacts, see if I can find anyone who has heard about him. David, maybe you could check with some of your friends from work. Jake, stay close. Don't go off on your own." Jake's eyes lifted, the tension easing slightly at his mother's suggestion. "Okay. I'll stay with you, Mom. Just tell me what to do." As they made a plan, Maria felt a sense of urgency coursing through her veins. This was no longer just about Jake, it was about their family's safety. She felt the cold edges of fear again but pushed them aside. Hope, although fragile, flickered in her heart. Hours later, they sat hunched over their laptops and notebooks, armed with information but haunted by unanswered questions. The sun dipped low in the sky, casting long shadows across their living room. Maria could feel the atmosphere thickening, each sound amplified by the tension that hung in the air. "Look," Jake said suddenly, pushing the laptop closer to David. "This guy, he's connected to a big group. They call themselves the Black Hawks. It's like they control a lot of things behind the scenes." "Black Hawks?" David leaned in. "What do they want?" Maria's breath hitched, dread pooling in her stomach. "Is it about money? Power? What do they gain from dragging us into this?" Jake tapped the screen nervously. "They run all kinds of operations. Mostly illegal drugs, gambling. And their reach is massive." "Massive, like national?" David voiced the concern brewing in both their minds. "It looks that way," Jake replied, his brow furrowed in worry. Maria felt the walls closing in again, the reality of their situation settling around her like a thick fog. The wretched thought of losing everything was overwhelming. "We have to figure out how to keep them from coming after us. We might need to find allies in this, people who can help protect us." As her resolve crystallized, a sudden noise at the door made them freeze. It was an unwelcome sound, heavy footsteps, urgent and determined. "Mom, what if it's him?" Jake whispered, eyes wide with fear. "Everyone, stay quiet." Maria plunged into instinct, heart pounding in her chest. She crept towards the door, her mind racing. What if it was too late? In that moment, she realized the fragility of their newfound determination. The door rattled slightly, and with it, Maria's breath quickened. She glanced back at Jake and David, their faces mirroring her own dread and determination. What if this is it? She thought, heart thudding as she reached for the doorknob, unaware of the storm waiting on the other side. With courage she didn't know she had, she opened the door. The figure standing there wasn't who she expected. As her breath caught in her throat, she wondered if this was the help they'd been searching for, or if they were welcoming in their worst nightmare. The door swung open slowly, creaking on its hinges, and Maria's heart raced as she took in the figure standing in the dim light. It was a woman, her face unmasked by fear but hardened by an undeniable resolve. Clad in a leather jacket that hinted at a tough life in city streets, she radiated an energy that Maria neither recognized nor understood fully. "Can I come in?" the woman asked, her voice steady yet edged with urgency. Maria hesitated, torn between her instinct to protect her family and a curious pull toward this stranger, who felt both like a potential ally and a wild card. She glanced back at Jake and David, whose expressions mirrored her own cautious uncertainty. "Who are you?" Maria finally inquired, her voice steady even as her pulse quickened. "I'm here to help," the woman stated plainly. "But time is short. You've drawn their attention, and they'll be coming for you." "And how do you know this?" David interjected, skepticism lacing his tone. "What do you know about the Black Hawks?" The woman's gaze sharpened, she glanced over her shoulder as if sensing unseen eyes nearby. "It's not safe to talk in the open. Please." She stepped back, gesturing toward the living room with a sense of urgency that set Maria's nerves on edge. Reluctantly, Maria moved aside. Holding her breath, she opened the door wider. "Fine. But you'll tell us everything inside." Once the woman entered, Maria closed the door, sealing them in a fragile sanctuary. "Sit," she instructed, motioning to the couch. The woman settled in, her eyes scanning the room before landing on Maria. "My name's Lexi. I can help you get out of this mess, and yes, I know about the Black Hawks. I used to work for them." The air in the room felt charged instantly. "Used to?" Jake echoed, wide-eyed. "What do you mean?" Lexi leaned in, each word weighty. "I managed their logistics. Drugs, shipping routes, the whole operation. But I've broken free. They want to keep you quiet, and that means you're in danger." "Danger? Because of Jake?" Maria's voice sharpened. "He didn't know, not really. Does it matter?" "You have all the marks of targets," Lexi replied, her tone firm. "They're ruthless. When they want someone out of the way, they don't hesitate." Jake shifted uncomfortably next to his mother. "What are they going to do?" "I thought we could just leave. We didn't ask for any of this." Lexi's expression softened for a moment. "I know. But running is not enough. We need to hit back. That's the only way you secure your future." "No," Maria interrupted, shaking her head. "This isn't just about us. You don't know how far they're willing to go to protect their secrets." Lexi sat back, her gaze piercing. "I do know. That's why you need me. I can help you navigate this chaos, but I need you to trust me." Trust. The word hung in the air, heavy with implications. Maria felt the weight of the decision pressing down on her. Could they really trust this stranger? But the alternative, to sit helplessly in fear, seemed even more daunting. "Tell us what we need to do," David said finally, his voice steady and filled with conviction. Just as hope began to flicker brighter, the tension in the room shifted dramatically. The familiar sound of heavy footsteps outside echoed through the house once more, unmistakable and firm. Too late. Lexi's eyes widened in alarm. "They're already here. We have to move, now." Maria's breath caught in her throat as dread pooled at the base of her stomach again. Fear flared as she realized they might be standing on the precipice of danger, and the true test of their courage loomed just beyond the door. Is this the moment we confront our fate? She wondered, heart racing. In that instant, she caught sight of the figure, a flash of movement in the shadows before it edged closer to their sanctuary. "Get ready," Lexi whispered urgently. "This is where the fight begins." Maria's heart raced as adrenaline coursed through her. She could barely process Lexi's words, but the urgency in the stranger's voice cut through the fog of confusion. The footsteps outside grew louder, a rhythmic pounding that echoed the chaos in her chest. "Why do they want us?" Jake asked softly, fear creeping into his voice. Lexi shot him a hard look, a mix of frustration and compassion. "They want to eliminate any threats to their operation. You existing here, knowing a piece of the truth, already puts you on their list. You're no longer just a family, you're collateral damage to them." Maria's throat tightened. Each word felt like a stone, heavy and sinking. She glanced at David, who looked lost in the storm of warring emotions. "What do we do?" she asked Lexi, her voice barely above a whisper. "We need to find a way out. Follow my lead, stay close, and don't make a sound," Lexi instructed, getting up from the couch. She moved toward the front window, her expression tense. Out in the street, shadows shifted in the waxing twilight. A black SUV sat idling, its dark windows hiding the occupants within. Lexi's gaze darted back and forth, like a chess player sizing up her next move. "Are they patrolling now?" Maria pressed, feeling the weight of fear in her belly. Lexi nodded. They'll be scanning for anyone trying to leave. We need to create a diversion. What do you mean? David queried. Lexi paused, calculating. The tension hung thick in the air. Just hold on to something. It'll get loud. Without warning, Lexi grabbed a glass vase from a nearby shelf and hurled it against the wall. The shattering sound echoed like gunfire, drawing the attention of the figures outside. Now! She shouted. In a flurry, they rushed for the back door. Maria's heart thundered as she led Jake and David down a narrow hallway that opened into their small kitchen. Lexi pushed the door open, stepping out into the dim yard. The night was cool, and panic gripped Maria as she scanned for threats. The back alley was empty, but that wouldn't last long. Lexi motioned for them to hurry, fearlessly taking the lead. Stick close, she instructed. They raced down the alley that ran parallel to their street, the walls looming like dark sentinels. Maria could hear her own breath quickening. It was a fight against time, with each echoing step hitting the asphalt like a countdown clock. The sound of the SUV's engine roared to life just moments later. Panic surged again. Lexi waved them into the shadows, quieting them as the car rolled around the corner. Maria could see the glint of headlights reflecting against the brick walls. They're looking for us, Lexi panted, her expression cut with resolve. They pressed against the cold bricks, the adrenaline pulsing through them, uniting the trio in this chaotic moment. Lexi, what now? Maria whispered. There's a safe house a few blocks from here, she replied. But we have to get through unobserved. If they catch us, a sudden noise echoed from the distance, heavy boots on pavement approaching their hiding spot. Maria's breath caught in her throat. Get back, Lexi urged, pushing them deeper into the shadows. Heart in her throat, Maria exchanged a glance with her son. They had crossed into an arena of danger, holding on to the flickering flame of hope. But could trust in this stranger carry them through the storm? As Lexi's determined face set into a mask of focus, Maria could only wonder, how far would they have to go to stay alive or to finally confront the demons that lurked beyond the darkness? Lexi held her breath, listening to the footsteps grow closer. The air felt heavy as they huddled together, fear pulsing in every heartbeat. Maria's mind raced. Would they be found here? What awaited them if they were? She glanced at Jake, who clutched his toy dinosaur as if it were a shield. The innocent expression on his face tugged at her heart. In this moment, she had to be strong, not just for herself, but for her son. David, on the other hand, was squeezing her hand, his eyes wide and filled with uncertainty. Just follow me, Lexi commanded, her voice firm and steady. Any hesitation she felt was expertly masked. Maria nodded, and together they slinked deeper into the shadows, inching away from the alley's edge as the heavy footsteps passed their hiding spot. She felt her blood pound in her ears, blocking out the sounds around them. All that mattered was escaping. As the thudding fades, Lexi exhaled sharply. We can't stay here. Follow me. They darted out of the alley and into a nearby park, its trees a dense maze of refuge. The moonlight filtered through the branches like scattered silver, but shadows danced ominously, pulling at the edges of Maria's vision. Where now? David asked, his voice shaking. Lexi scanned their surroundings, eyes narrowed. We need to cut through to Maple Street. It's less populated, but the turn towards the east has been known to be clear sometimes. What if they're watching? Jake asked, his little voice cracking with fear. They won't expect us here, Lexi replied. Trust me. Trepidation loomed, but Maria felt a flicker of faith ignite within her. You heard her, guys. We have to trust her. If we're going to keep going, we need to move, Maria urged, her voice steady despite the chaos swirling in her mind. They continued, moving as quietly as possible, their feet barely touching the ground. Lexi led the way, her figure a silhouette among the trees, determined and fierce. Maria felt her heart swell with gratitude for this woman who had stepped into their lives like a lightning bolt, illuminating their dark path. Suddenly, a distant shout broke the night air, metal on metal clanging in the background. Maria froze, thick dread settling in her stomach. The urgency in Lexi's gaze snapped her out of it. "Run!" Lexi hissed, moving as quickly as their limbs allowed. They crossed what felt like an eternity of open grass, every rustle in the wind sending shivers down Maria's spine. The street loomed ahead, its pavement stark and bare. They could see headlights approaching in the distance, making Maria's heart race faster. They needed cover. "Over there." Lexi pointed towards a thicket of bushes. They bolted into the foliage, the leaves scratching at Maria's arms as they pressed against the earth, hearts pounding, breaths shallow. The car roared past, its lights illuminating their hiding spot for just a moment, but that moment felt infinite. "Are they gone?" Jake whispered, eyes wide and scared as he looked up at his mother. "Should just a little longer," Maria shushed, holding him tightly. She could feel his tiny heartbeat, syncopated with her own, despite the fear gripping them all. Once the sounds of the car faded, Lexi eased them out from their cover. "We're almost there," she whispered. "But we need to hurry. The safe house is just a few blocks down." As they crept toward the street, Maria knew the fight to survive was far from over. What lay ahead felt daunting, and the weight of the unknown pressed heavily on her shoulders. "Lexi, are you sure the safe house is safe?" David asked, his voice a mix of hope and skepticism. Lexi's eyes locked onto his. "It's the best chance we have," she assured them, but there was a flicker of doubt that crept into her expression. With a knot forming in her stomach, Maria realized the truth: their journey had just begun, and each step could lead them closer to answers or further into danger. But one question lingered with her, gnawing at her: would they find solace, or were they walking into another trap? As they stumbled through the dimly lit streets, Maria fought to keep fear at bay, knowing it was her strength that would guide them. Jake clutched her hand tightly, while David kept a vigilant watch around them. Lexi led the way with determination, her every glance sharp and focused. Each step felt like a life-or-death decision, and they had to trust Lexi. The air buzzed with tension, an electric current of panic threatening to pull them under. Maria could feel her heart pounding like a drum, fear and hope wrestling inside her. They turned a corner and there it was, a small, unassuming house tucked away like a forgotten secret. Lexi paused, her expression grave. "This is it. We'll need to move quickly and quietly." Maria looked at the house's weathered facade, and for a moment, doubt flickered. What if it was a trap? But she reminded herself of the stakes. There was no turning back now. They needed safety, and fast. They rushed toward the door, Lexi leading the way. With a quick glance over her shoulder, she fumbled with the lock, her fingers shaking. Maria held her breath, praying that they wouldn't be caught before they could find refuge. The door creaked open, and they slipped inside. The atmosphere was thick with uncertainty. "We need to stay low," Lexi instructed, shutting the door and ensuring it was locked tight behind them. There's a basement, it's south, the safest place. They hurried down the narrow staircase, the air growing cooler as they descended. Maria's heart raced not only from fear but also from a strange mix of exhilaration. It was time to reclaim their narrative, to confront the abyss laid before them. The basement was dim, illuminated only by a flickering bulb. It smelled of damp earth, as if it had been dormant for far too long. Maria glanced over at Jake, whose innocent eyes were wide with confusion. She knelt beside him, brushing his hair out of his face. "We're going to be okay, sweetie. I promise." David looked at Lexi, urgency in his eyes. "What now? What do we do if they find us here?" Lexi squared her shoulders, her feigned calm fracturing slightly. "We prepare. Get ready, learn their moves. I'll reach out to some old contacts. We can't let them come for you again." "Again?" Maria echoed, her voice rising. What are we dealing with? You said you were free from them. What do they want now? Lexi slumped against a cold, hard wall, her gaze distant. The Black Hawks are like a vicious root, cut one off, and two more spring out. They want to keep their secret safe, and Jake's misstep has put a target on all of our backs. Jake swallowed hard, realization sinking in. It's my fault. No, Maria said quickly, her heart aching at his words. This isn't on you. We're a family, and we face this together. You need to remember that, Jake. As the weight of her words settled, Maria found a flicker of resolve. They would not be the victims of this situation, they would fight. Suddenly, thudding footsteps echoed from above, the sound vibrating through the walls. Lexi's eyes widened in alarm, and the room's tension snapped taut. They're close. Shoo. David hissed, his body tense. The footsteps ceased. For a heartbeat, silence enveloped them, thick as molasses. Then, an unsettling voice sliced through the quiet. We know you're down there. Come out now, and maybe we can end this easily. Maria's heart plummeted. It was them, the ones who sought vengeance, ripping at the line of safety they had worked so hard to establish. The thought of Jake being caught in the crossfire sent a fresh wave of dread coursing through her. Whatever happens, stay close to me, Maria whispered to Jake, squeezing his hand tight. She turned to Lexi. What do we do? They're waiting for you to make a move, Lexi said, her face set. We need to use this moment to our advantage. We have to draw them away. Draw them away? David echoed, incredulity creeping into his voice. The basement has a back entrance. If we can clear the front, we can slip out the back, and the door slammed open, a figure standing silhouetted against the dim light. I wouldn't do that if I were you. A chill raced down Maria's spine as she locked eyes with the imposing stranger who had visited their home earlier. Looks like we've found ourselves a little family reunion, he sneered, stepping into the basement, flanked by two intimidating figures. Get behind me, David demanded, positioning himself in front of Maria and Jake, protective and brave. Tension surged in the air, electric and bitter. Everything Maria had fought for now dangled before them, and she felt like they were teetering on the edge of a cliff, each breath a potential last gasp. Lexi straightened, a glimmer of defiance flickering in her eyes. You think you can intimidate us? We're fighting for our lives here, and we will not back down. You really think you can win against us? The man's lips twisted into a sinister grin. You're just a bunch of fools running from the truth. Your little charade won't hold. This is where it ends. The adrenaline surged, a fiery surge of instinct igniting in Maria's chest as fear coiled tightly around her. We're not going down without a fight, she shouted, feeling every ounce of resolve fill her veins like gasoline. Without warning, Lexi launched herself at the man, tackling him to the ground. Surprised, he stumbled back, and chaos erupted. David positioned himself defensively with Jake right behind him, fear shaping his stance. Go! Get out! David yelled, determination fueling his words. I'll hold them off. No! We can't leave you! Maria shouted, anger and fear surging forward. Just trust me. His voice sliced through. You have to survive. In that moment, all Maria could see was the fear in Jake's eyes as he nestled into her side. We can't leave him, Mom. Please. But Lexi's fierce spirit ignited hope. We have to get to the back. We can find another way to save him. With every ounce of will, Maria nodded, rallying her strength. Together, they retreated toward the darkened back corner, Lexi throwing open a door leading to the outside. Go, now. Lexi urged, urgency flooding her voice. Maria felt the ground beneath them shift, each step weighted in the wake of what they were leaving behind. They burst out into the alley, adrenaline flowing, the cold night air bursting around them like an awakening. But deep down, she felt the burning weight of uncertainty what lay ahead. They sprinted down the alley, hearts hammering, and as they turned the corner, Maria glanced back hoping, praying that David's bravery wasn't in vain. The roar of chaos behind them faded into the distance, but uncertainty swept in. With each step further from their home, Maria wondered if they would find safety again. Could the ties of family hold strong in the face of such darkness? Yet, the flicker of hope ignited like a fire in her chest. They would fight back. United, and determined, they would rise above the threats surrounding them. As they stumbled forward, hand in hand, Maria felt the pulse of resilience guiding them into the uncharted night ahead. The fight wasn't over, not by a long shot, but for the first time in what felt like ages, she felt alive, ready to reclaim their lives, no matter the cost. Together. The road would be treacherous, but they wouldn't falter. Family was worth fighting for, and with that determination blazing fiercely in her heart, Maria took a deep breath and pressed on into the dark unknown. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and support this journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. You need to subscribe now, and this is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.